I'm extraordinarily excited to be before this group today. I'm a creative. I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story. And just so that everybody's on the same page, this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to start with just a brief introduction from my book, Advance Your Swagger, How to Use Manners, Confidence, and Style to Get Ahead. It's an equation. I'm going to tell a bit of the philosophy behind that equation with some personal stories. I like personal stories. One of my best friends loved personal stories. He called them parables. Parable comes from the root word parabole, which is to throw a spiritual truth alongside a story. And so I'm going to use that today to share a bit of the philosophy behind how not only I was able to break into this industry, but to continue to flourish, if you will. Now, before we begin, I'm going to talk to you about something that I care deeply about, and that's downtime. Downtime. What is downtime? Downtime is the time when everything else is done, right? So if you got a job, if you may have a kid or, whatever that thing is that you have to do. Some of you may still be in school. I don't know. Whatever it is that you do, your downtime is the time when all of that stuff is done. And the thing about downtime, people know you will get a better reaction out of me if you interrupt me when I'm actually working on a project. As a matter of fact, right now I'm producing the open for the American Music Awards, which is Tuesday live. Tracy Ellis Ross is the host. So yeah, watch it. It's going to be very, very cool. The piece is about women's empowerment and equal pay for equal work. And I'm telling the narrative through music. So I'm really excited. And dance. And so you literally will get a better reaction at me if you interrupt me when I'm literally drilled down in a project than if you interrupt me during my downtime. I don't play with my downtime. Because see, the downtime, and I want you to really begin to take inventory of it when you leave here. The downtime is the time when people usually engage in things that keep them from moving up in life. And so if you don't properly manage your downtime, you limit your lifetime. How did I? Guy from Atlanta, Georgia, moved to New York City without knowing a soul in the entertainment industry, and become the personal assistant to one of the biggest moguls in hip-hop history, Sean Diddy Combs, in under 2 years. And then how was I able to transform that opportunity, brand myself, and become one of the players in the industry? Don't get it twisted. It wasn't easy. But of course, nothing worth having is easy, and I understand why they say if you could make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Now, this was my first time living outside of the South, and I had to grow up fast and figure out how to maneuver even faster. I can attribute much of my success to 3 factors God gave me: manners, confidence, and style. I honestly believe we're living in the golden age of disrespect. A time when common courtesies such as speaking to folks, smiling, and saying please and thank you are perceived as making men look soft and women look vulnerable. We rush past one another and think any sign of kindness would be misconstrued as weakness. Looking hard for a lot of the culture is in, but that's never been me. Now, manners were essential in my upbringing. I'm a Southerner. In my neck of the woods, you're trained to speak to everyone. I wouldn't dare walk down the street without speaking to my neighbors or cut past someone without saying, excuse me. Now, doing these things was like breathing to me, so when I did move to New York, I continued to be myself and use the manners that my parents and ancestors instilled in me. Now, admittedly, some people looked at me like I was from Mars, but most thought it was refreshing. And I met a lot of influential people, and a lot of doors were opened simply because I followed the traditions of my youth. My manners was the first ingredient that set me apart from my peers. Now I'm a Morehouse man. Morehouse College is the school of Martin Luther King Jr., Samuel Jackson, Spike Lee, Maynard Jackson, the first African-American mayor of Atlanta, who has a fantastic documentary out right now, by the way. Michael Lomax, the present CEO of the United Negro College Fund, and my dad, just to name a couple prestigious graduates. To be a Morehouse man is synonymous with being confident. There's this saying, you can tell a Morehouse man, but you can't tell him much. It's that type of confidence that embodies the culture at Morehouse College. Students there are taught to be distinguished, self-assured, and proud of their heritage. They're taught to find a way or make one. This unwavering self-confidence became the second ingredient that set me apart from my peers. Well, as for style, well, that's been my thing for some time. I was never that keen on following the crowd. At the time when I moved to New York, everyone was wearing oversized jerseys and big white t-shirts and tennis shoes. And I was wearing a three-piece chocolate brown and tan purple label suit, a spread collar shirt, a foulard tie, and chocolate brown suede, busting heads. I was wearing suits, but I didn't look traditionally Wall Street. I was wearing bold colors, but I didn't look traditionally hip-hop. I had my own sense of style that in many ways was a blend of the two. My unique sense of style became the third ingredient that set me apart from my peers. Manners, plus confidence, plus style, equals swagger. That's the formula that this particular book is all about. See, this is the moment when you realize that you should have had a larger font on your phone. Hey. So here we go. All right. Here we go. Hello. My parents taught my younger brother and me to start where you are, use what you have, and do the very best that you can. They told us if we followed these principles, we would be successful no matter what we did in life. And these principles, they worked for me. This guy from Atlanta, Georgia, who moved to New York City without knowing a soul in the entertainment industry and found his dream. Now, let me start with manners. Now, I was not always the mannerable guy, obviously, that's standing before you today. When I grew up, my mom sat on this side of the table, my dad on this side. And so I guess it was probably between I think 4th, 5th grade, something like that. I'm sitting at the dinner table, I'm eating, and I kept pushing my food on my fork. So mom's like, look, Derek, if you keep pushing that food on your fork like that, you're going to etiquette school this summer. I was like, anyway, ain't nobody going to etiquette school. I'm about to be a lifeguard. I got to get this money. Well, sure enough, you already know it was a habit. And there I was that summer in etiquette school. It was horrible. There were 5 of us for the summer. Now, interesting enough, and culturally interesting enough, that summer, Dr. Bill Cosby's daughter was at Spelman and was a friend of mine, and so we were in Philadelphia for Penn Relays. And we were at Dr. Cosby's house, beautiful English Tudor house, fescue grass, literally, it looked like Disney World the way the manicure was done. And we're there, and there was a chef. I had no idea that really happened, that folks actually had a personal chef. So we're there, and we ended up coming downstairs for dinner. It was about 5 of us. And so about halfway through the dinner, Dr. Cosby looked at me, and he said, I like the way you use your cutlery. I remember getting up from that table when we finished, and I called my mama, Mama, thank you for sending me to etiquette school that summer. Etiquette is a very interesting thing because etiquette ultimately makes you comfortable in all social situations. Right now, if we just decide, all right, you know what, let's skip it, let's just go up to whatever, the penthouse, we got a penthouse, and we're just gonna stay at Stephanie's penthouse. We're gonna go up there and have a party. Now, here's the thing. We're all in the lobby or in the living room, so on and so forth. Now, everybody's not gonna be able to necessarily go into some of the more private quarters into her place, just because she's not really sure how people are going to move in that particular environment. And so one of the things I began to notice is as I navigated this concrete jungle, which was culture shock for me coming from Atlanta, this understanding of the culture and environment and how to move in that particular environment really served me well. So etiquette has always been important. Now let me move to confidence. There's this quote by Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, who was the president of Morehouse College, who was Dr. King's mentor. He's the gentleman that taught him about the teachings of Gandhi. He taught him about civil disobedience. Dr. Benjamin E. Mays is one of the missing names that many people don't know that really has helped create the extraordinary world we live in today. And the quote says, "Whatever you do it so well no man living, no man dead, and no man yet to be born can ever do it any better." I'm going to try that again. Whatever you do it so well no woman living, no woman dead, and no woman yet to be born can ever do it better. Now listen, freshman year in college, in one ear, out the other. Now about my junior year, something about this really settled in me, and I was like, man, that is really powerful, to just approach whatever you do with that level of excellence. And I said to myself, you know what, that's going to be my mantra. No matter what, that's what I'm going to do. So, first jobs, you get a job. If I had to go get somebody's coffee, oh, you better not drink that coffee as soon as I get back with it, because I will burn your tongue, mouth, and everything else you got, because it will be the hottest coffee known to man. Amen. If somebody sent me to go make some copies from the copier, them copies came back warm. Because I had made it in my mind that no matter what, I'm going to approach this at the highest level. And what's interesting is, when you exceed in excellence, people get confidence in you. Now, let me tell you a brief story about confidence, and this really crystallized it here for me. I'm in New York City, and there was this award show that they used to do back in the day called the VH1 Fashion Awards. Kind of interesting to think that VH1 would be doing something like this with high-level fashion creatives. But they did. It was called the VH1 Fashion Awards. And basically, they merged all of fashion and all of music at the highest level, and this was a big extravaganza that happened here in New York City. And I remember thinking to myself, man, don't nobody like music and fashion more than me. I don't know why they ain't sent me no ticket. And I remember that night going to bed depressed. And I woke up the next morning. It was my day off. And at the time, I was a maitre d' at 11 Madison Park Restaurant. Great restaurant, by the way. And I said, you know what? I'm going to the VH1 Fashion Awards. I sure did. I said, all right. And I got in the shower. I got out the shower. And I put on my medium gray, double-breasted, peak lapel, side vented, stay with me. I put on my lavender English cutaway spread collared shirt, off with your head. And I put on my 4.5-inch scarf tie, slapping you as I walk. And again, my chocolate brown suedes. And I was like, I put on the very best ensemble I had in that closet. And I was going to the VH1 Fashion Awards. And so the show was not far from where the restaurant I worked at. So I was like, all right, let me walk to the restaurant. I'll just kind of hang out there before the live show, because it was a live show. So I remember walking in, and everybody's like, yo, Derek, what's up? Like, why are you so dressed up? I was like, man, I'm going to the VH1 Fashion Awards. They were like, that's dope. How'd you get a ticket? I was like, ain't nobody got no ticket. But I'm going to the VH1 Fashion Awards. So I went upstairs to my little desk, and, has anybody ever been to their job on their day off, and you're like there, but you're not there? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody? Okay, it's a couple people that know exactly what I'm talking about. So that was me, and I'm at the desk, and so the phone's ringing for me because they know I'm in the building, and even though I'm there, I'm not there, so I'm not going to answer the phone. So sure enough, after about 10, 15 minutes, I see it's about time for me to go out to go to the live show. And as I walk downstairs, all of the staff, and it was a beautiful staircase, they're looking at me like this. I'm like, what? They're like, dude, we just had 3 executives from VH1 come over here. They want to bring some of the advertising executives that out to dinner in the area that we have where you don't take reservations. And so we're calling you to come down because they had these 2 free tickets to the after party. We figured you come in here and you can smooth your way into the show. And I'm like, man. The interesting thing is there are going to be a lot of opportunities in life that you're going to feel like you missed, but you can't let that stop you. And I didn't, and I said, you know what, let me take those after party tickets, and I started walking to where the show was. Now, mind you, I'm from Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, right? I'm in New York City, hadn't been there very long, never been to a live show, any taping, anything of the sort. So I'm just walking. So I walked up, and there was some hustling, bustling, and it looked like a desk that was pretty official. And as I walked up, this gentleman with an English accent walked up, and he said, yeah, I'm going to be doing Sharon Stone and Halle Berry's hair. So, I looked at him like, okay, well, he ain't going to have no problem getting to the VH1 Fashion Awards. And so the gentleman was like, no, the credentials desk isn't here. Sir, it's actually around the corner. It was like 28th and Park Avenue South, wherever the old Barney's used to be. And so he starts walking the wrong direction. So I'm like, no, sir, you're going the wrong direction. No, follow me. I got you. So we walked up to the credentials desk, and so the gentleman said who he was, and obviously they gave him his credentials, and then they looked at me and they said, okay, now are you here with him? But for the life of me, guys, I couldn't lie. I buttoned up my jacket and I said, no, ma'am, I am not with him, but I'm here for my credentials. She looked at me up and down, and she pulled a credential out. I took it quickly. You got to seize an opportunity when you see an opportunity, right? So I took it and I walked around the corner, y'all, and for the first time in life, I saw the red carpet. Now, One Club, y'all ain't vibing with me right now. Like, this was my first time ever seeing something like this. This was extraordinary. People were in their gowns, people are dressed up. And I'm walking around, and I got a credential, but I don't really know what a credential is. I don't know how this works for real. And so who do I see walking down is Russell Simmons. Very interesting to tell this story and think about culturally where we are. And so Russell rolls by himself all of the time, and I did not know Russell at the time. But again, I've always paid attention to current events, local and international. There's a major key. Make sure you're doing that, because when you're trying to network, chances are folks are going to be talking about something that is going on, and if you want to be a part of that conversation to now network, you want to have an opinion about what's going on. So he's walking, and I started asking him some things about his collection, clothing line, and he's walking, and I'm talking. They ain't gonna stop Russell. They ain't gonna stop me if I'm walking with Russell. So walked on in. And y'all, for the first time in life, I was inside the show. And I saw people I had dreamt of my entire life. I saw Ralph Lauren and Ricky Lauren. Tom Ford was creative director at Gucci. I saw him. I saw Donatella and Gianni Versace. And all of the fashion icons I had dreamt of, they were in the building. And so was Derek Watkins from Southwest Atlanta. So I was like, you know what, I'm in here. I might as well get a good seat. I mean, what do I have to look? And so there was 3 empty seats on the 5th row, right? So I walked up confidently, how you doing? I know nobody. I'm gonna call you. Right? Body language is a very interesting thing, people. It's a very interesting thing. People can tell a lot from you by your body language. So anyway, I sit down, and it was a live show, so it was 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 3 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the VH1 Fashion Awards. Man, I jumped on that cell phone and called my mama. Mama, turn on the TV. Your son is 5th row at the VH1 Fashion Awards. Yo, give me a clap for that, because this was a big moment. This was a big moment for me. But what was interesting about this is I realized some major keys that I had put into practice, unbeknownst to me in real time, that I went back and realized. The first one, I set a very clear goal. I'm going to the VH1 Fashion Awards. That was the goal. And the thing with goal setting, guys, is you got to make short-term goals and you got to set long-term goals. And you got to set them high, right? And so I made that decision, you know. And then I sowed a seed of faith. Faith is not a religious concept. Faith is a law. Don't believe me? Fall from up there. You will go splat. You ain't got to believe in gravity. You will go splat every single time. And so faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you do not see. And what I have found is faith without works is actually dead. So check it out. If you have not moved in forward propensity with the idea that you have in mind, you ain't even activated faith yet. What did I do? I got in the shower. I got out the shower. I put on my very best. I was going to the VH1 Fashion Awards. I made it was clear. I was going. Now, the next key I recognize is I sowed a seed of integrity. Integrity is a good one. See, integrity is so good that you really don't know you need it until you've lost it. Now, you know good and well, I could have lied and said I was with your boy that was doing Sharon Stone and Halle Berry's hair, but I could have got caught in that lie as well. But see, when you know who you are and whose you are, you actually can walk in that authority. Now, the next moment, and this is where we mess up, and I've done a very good job over the last decade of clearing this. I aligned myself with somebody that was going the same direction that I wanted to go. Some of you right now know good and well, if you really boil it down and think about some of the folks in your inner circle, they may be fun, they may be your best friend from high school, but when you boil it down, are they really setting goals? Do they really have a vision board for their life? Really? I'm telling you guys today, listen, you need to put them on pause. A pregnant pause. So that's at least 40-month, full term, like a pregnant pause. Now, the last thing, obviously, I was dressed appropriate for the occasion, which brings me to the last tenet of the philosophy, which is style. Ladies and gentlemen, clothing is language. Before you have opened up your mouth, you have had an entire conversation about who you are and what you think about yourself to the entire room. And that's something to think about. Like, what am I saying? Right? So anyway, the interesting thing about this room, when I look at this room, I'm just going to take the vibration up just a little bit. I actually don't see color or gender. I see a room full of CEOs. All right. That's about 40%. You're going to get this today, though. See, the CEO, and if you know what it stands for, say it with me. It stands for the Chief Executive Officer. Okay, this is the thought leader. At the end of the day, the buck stops with this individual. And when something's not going right, they're going to look at the CEO like, yo, what's up? So check it out. This whole idea of you go to school and then you go to whatever next level of school or not, or you work at this company and you work at this business and then eventually you become a CEO. I'm breaking that sacred cow today. That is no. You're a CEO, and you're a CEO right now. I can prove it to you. A CEO has a board of directors, correct? Every single one of you has a board of directors right now. Who you hang with? Uh-oh. Yeah, some of you need to fire some people. Yeah. You need to fire some people because they are not positively affecting the productivity of you, the business. They're not. CEO, what does CEO they think about? You think about market, you got to think about savings, you got to think about spending, right? You got to think about the market share, you got to think about vision casting, right? You got to think about the brand. You don't create the brand of you. You are a brand right now. I can prove it to you. You know, I don't know what it is about her. She just got a bad attitude. That's her brand. You better change it. You know, I don't know what it is about this dude, man, but like, he's always got the New York Times or, Fast Company and is always up on exactly what's going on. That's his brand. You better get to know him. And so when you fully get an understanding that you're a CEO now, you begin to govern yourselves as a CEO now, because we're talking about the marketplace. Let me tell you, as a co-founder and a CEO, don't nobody want no employees. You want people that have the mindset of a CEO, that take for real that this is ownership of this particular operation and position that I have. Because then you're confident at the highest level in this particular individual. I can tell you like this. I don't care what's on your resume. I don't care what you did and how many A's and so what? When you go into that interview and you begin talking like a CEO from a CEO mindset, and you begin talking to them about spending, savings, and begin asking them the types of questions that they ask themselves, you will immediately go into a completely different pile. ASAP. So let me see you look at your name and say, I'm a CEO. Well, hold on now, hold up. We ain't gonna do it like that. Just think about it. Went through school or whatever, you got this job and you've been there for all of these years, and you walk into this new company, they're like, oh, you know what, the CEO's in here, he's got a moment. Why don't you come and meet the CEO? And the CEO turns around and be like, I'm the CEO. No, that's not how we're gonna do that today, y'all. I need you to sit up straight. I need you to get some air in your lungs, and with conviction, look at your neighbor and say, I'm a CEO. Look at your other neighbor and say, I'm a CEO. Now let's make some noise for that. We got some CEOs in the building. Now listen, I'm gonna close with this because for me, I've seen it serve me well. And I think with the power of social media, there's this visceral want to be unique, find your uniqueness. What is my voice? We're living in a time where a like is actual currency. Cool ultimately had a whole bunch to do with some of the biggest decisions you've made in your life. What school you went to, what people you hung out with, what sneakers you got, what purse you got. Cool had such to do with those decisions. And so the want to figure out the uniqueness and who it is that you are and how can I be separate or have a different point of view of all of these other folks in this room, like, it could be stressful. I'm gonna simplify it. Everybody do this. See that? Ain't nobody got that fingerprint that you got. You're the only one on this planet with this. Period. You don't have to try to be unique. You're innately created to be unique. And so for me, what I found is, as I go up the ladder, it's not about thinking about up the ladder, it's about drilling down and going deep. Because it doesn't matter what tree you see, the roots go infinitely deeper than the sprout goes up. So for me, I spend time with the person that created me to have a better understanding of who I am, so that I can always walk in the boldness of who that is, no matter what room I'm in. Now, before I end, I'm going to give you my definition of no. Because no is the word that you're going to hear infinitely more than you hear yes for the remainder of your time on this earth. And so what I have found is, I said, okay, I got to define this no. I have to redefine this no. And when I got this revelation, y'all, this so liberated me. No. What does no mean? No means, now I know. You are not the person God has designed for me to get this thing done. So guess what? I want to know quickly. Hurry up and tell me no. So I don't have to waste no more time. And I celebrated those. No, good. Thank you so much for telling me now. And I'm stringing these emails and a couple more lunches and dinners around. Appreciate it. Let's move on. No means now I know that you are not the person that God has designed for me to get this idea, this concept, this vision done. Because I'm telling you, it ultimately is going to happen. The book that I started reading the intro from, when the time came for me to figure out, okay, so as a product, what you have to have a product, Derek. I was like, man, the product that I have to make is actually what served me the most is the little things. It's been the smaller details. And so I wanted to write an etiquette book. And well, what happened is, whatever, the CFO of Random House had reached out, and they were doing focus groups, and it came to me, and I was like, they wanted me to do a historical book or da-da-da-da-da, and I was like, man, I want to do an etiquette book because that's what served me well. And so I finished the book, and I go to several advertising agencies. They will all remain nameless. And I'm like, hey, man, etiquette, man, this is important. This is literally the secret gem. And people look at me like, etiquette? Don't nobody care about no etiquette? And so, I start and I speak at high schools or boys and girls clubs, and then they tell somebody else. And, I really believed that I needed to take this messaging around. And then a couple more folks would hear about it, and then I'd be able to speak at different colleges and universities. And next thing you know, I was developing a show with Jamie Foxx. This is right after his Academy Award, called G's to Gents, where they took the teachings from the book, and we developed this transformational show. That ended up being a top-rated show for MTV in 40 countries globally. And then the book became a New York Times bestseller. And I'm sitting there, and I was going to remember going to the advertising companies and getting to know. And then if you recall, it's been some years ago now, there was a year that Pepsi decided they weren't going to spend money on the Super Bowl. And what they ended up doing is doing this big campaign where they ran around the country, and they were teaching young people how to do business plans and how to take their visions and put them on paper to potentially be able to activate them. And they had me and Hill Harper on the front lines doing that. And I was just like, wow. So the point is, y'all are sitting with a vision in your belly right now that you've received countless no's. And I know it. We all have them. But all I'm here to tell you and to let you know that you're going to get that thing done. You just haven't found the right partner. I'll end with a quote by Florence Shen, who wrote the book, The Game of Life, How to Play It. Your gift, let me not mess up the quote. Hold on. All right. Yeah. Just bear with me. Oh, got it. Your gift from God is your life. What you do with it is your gift back to God. Thank you very much.